Do you dare to listen to a tale that will haunt your dreams? Have you ever felt a presence in your room at night? A cold shiver running down your spine as if someone or something is watching you? What if I told you that sometimes our worst fears manifest when the line between reality and nightmare blurs? Tonight, I want to share a story that will make you question every creak, every shadow, and every breath you take in the dark. A story that is not just to be heard but felt deeply within. Are you ready? Emily was a typical teenager, balancing school, friends, and her love for writing. She had a penchant for the macabre, always seeking out horror stories and movies to fuel her overactive imagination. But nothing could have prepared her for the terror she was about to face. It all started on a seemingly ordinary evening. Emily was in her room typing away on her laptop. The soft glow of the screen was the only light in the room, casting eerie shadows on the walls. She was writing a horror story for her blog, a chilling tale about a haunted house. The more she typed, the more she felt an unsettling feeling, as if someone was watching her. Ignoring the sensation, she continued to write. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, bringing her darkest ideas to life. Suddenly her phone rang, breaking the silence and making her jump. She glanced at the screen. It was an unknown number. "Hello?" she answered hesitantly. There was no response, only a faint, raspy breathing on the other end. She felt a chill run down her spine. "Who is this?" she demanded, her voice trembling slightly. The line went dead. Emily shrugged it off as a prank call, but the unease lingered. She decided to call it a night and went to bed, hoping to shake off the weird feeling. But sleep didn't come easy. She tossed and turned, her mind replaying the strange phone call. The next day, Emily woke up feeling groggy. She couldn't shake off the eerie sensation from the night before. At school, she tried to focus on her classes, but her mind kept drifting back to the phone call. Her best friend Sarah noticed her distraction. "Hey, Em, you okay?" Sarah asked during lunch. Emily sighed. "Yeah, just didn't sleep well. Got a weird prank call last night." Sarah frowned. "That's creepy. Maybe it was just some random person." "Yeah, maybe," Emily replied, but she wasn't convinced. That night, Emily decided to continue her story. The moment she opened her laptop, her phone rang again. The same unknown number. She hesitated before answering. "Hello?" This time a voice whispered, "I'm watching you." Emily's blood ran cold. She hung up and blocked the number, her hands shaking. She tried to focus on her writing, but her mind kept drifting back to the voice. Who was watching her? And why? Days passed and the calls stopped. Emily started to relax, thinking it was over. But then, strange things began to happen around her house. Objects would move on their own, doors would creak open, and she felt an unshakable feeling of being watched. One evening, as she was brushing her teeth, she noticed something in the bathroom mirror. At first, she thought it was a trick of the light, but then she saw it clearly, a shadowy figure standing behind her. She spun around, but no one was there. Heart pounding, she ran to her room and locked the door. She sat on her bed, trying to calm herself. "It's just your imagination," she whispered, but the fear wouldn't subside. She decided to do some research. She read about spirits, hauntings, and entities that could attach themselves to people. The more she read, the more terrified she became. Was she being haunted? One night, Emily woke up to a strange noise. It sounded like whispers, soft and indistinct, coming from the walls. She sat up, straining to hear. The whispers grew louder, more urgent. She could almost make out the words, but not quite. She grabbed her phone and recorded the sounds. The whispers seemed to be saying something, but she couldn't understand. She played the recording over and over, trying to decipher the words. It sounded like a warning, but from whom? Desperate for answers, she reached out to a local paranormal investigator, Mr. Thompson. She showed him the recording and told him about the strange occurrences. He listened intently, his face growing more serious by the minute. "Emily," he said, "I believe you are dealing with a malevolent spirit. These entities feed on fear and can become very dangerous." Emily's heart sank. "What can I do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Mr. Thompson handed her a small vial of holy water and a list of instructions. "Follow these steps carefully. Cleanse your house and protect yourself. And whatever you do, don't engage with the spirit." Emily followed Mr. Thompson's instructions to the letter. She cleansed her house, sprinkled holy water in every corner, and recited the prayers he had given her. For a while, the activity seemed to subside. She felt a glimmer of hope. But one night, as she was getting ready for bed, she heard the whispers again, louder, more insistent. She tried to ignore them, but they wouldn't stop. They seemed to be coming from everywhere, surrounding her. "Leave me alone," she shouted, but the whispers only grew louder. Suddenly the lights flickered, and the room grew cold. Emily felt a presence stronger than ever before. She grabbed the vial of holy water and began to recite the prayers, her voice trembling. The whispers turned into screams, a cacophony of voices shouting, begging, threatening. Emily felt like she was being torn apart, her mind overwhelmed by the noise. She continued to pray, tears streaming down her face. Finally, with one last desperate plea, she shouted, "In the name of God, leave this place." There was a deafening silence. The room grew warm again, and the presence vanished. Emily collapsed on the floor, exhausted and terrified. The next day, Emily woke up feeling like she had been through a war. Her body ached, and her mind was in a fog, but the house was quiet. No whispers, no shadows, no eerie feelings. She reached out to Mr. Thompson and told him what had happened. He listened patiently and reassured her that the spirit was gone. "You were strong, Emily. You faced your fear and banished the entity. It's over now." Emily wanted to believe him, but the experience had left her scarred. She no longer found solace in horror stories or movies. The darkness that had once fascinated her now filled her with dread. Years later, Emily still occasionally felt a shiver when she was alone at night, but she had learned to trust her instincts and protect herself from the unseen. She knew that the line between reality and nightmare was thin, and she was determined never to cross it again. As you lay in bed tonight, remember Emily's story. The next time you hear a strange noise or feel a cold presence, ask yourself, is it just your imagination, or is there something lurking in the shadows? And if you ever get a midnight call from an unknown number, will you dare to answer?